You've probably seen people use aliases and avatars when trading in cryptocurrency. Some even launch major crypto projects without revealing their true identity. But what happens if their true identity is revealed through doxing? How ethical is doxing? What even is doxing? Stay tuned as we answer all these questions and more. When Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin, anonymity was one of its most prized features. It's how, to this day, no one knows who the person or group of people behind the Satoshi alias is. Following Satoshi's lead, it's become commonplace to see people in the crypto world using pseudonyms. From dApps, NFTs, DeFi, and GameFi to the many blockchain innovations available, most people choose to invent, develop, and transact on these networks without revealing their identities. We've all seen how on-chain detectives expose the identities of pseudonymous people. Some of these are scam artists and malicious hackers, while others could just be regular project team members or crypto personalities. So what exactly is doxing? Doxing is when someone searches or hacks your private or identifying information and publishes it on the internet, often with malicious intent. So essentially, when you have an alias or an avatar as your crypto profile and someone reveals your true identity, you've been doxed. But how ethical is it to reveal the true identities of people who use aliases or avatars as their crypto profiles? I mean, there's no rule against anyone posting who you truly are on the internet, but is there any sort of community consensus on why doxing matters in crypto, if it even does? At the moment, what's set in stone is crypto users being on the fence about it. So while some claim they dox people with good intentions, others see it as an act of war against the anonymity fundamentals that make crypto so valuable. Let's take a quick look at both sides. So the yays to doxing claim that doxing is important to establish a project's credibility, especially given the recent trends of top-performing crypto project founders using aliases to launch their work. Things become much more complicated on such high-profile grounds because no one knows who these founders and the custodians of millions of dollars in investor funds are or what their backgrounds are. Take, for example, the recent dox of Yuga Labs co-founders, which made the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs. In the article, we found the real names of Bored Ape Yacht Club's pseudonymous founders. BuzzFeed news reporter Katie Natopoulos reveals that Yuga Labs aliases, Gordon Goner and Gargamel, are in fact Greg Solano, a 32-year-old writer and editor, and Wiley Arano, a 35-year-old originally from Florida. And while the two are not involved in any illegal activity, Katie holds her ground, saying, "How do you hold them accountable if you don't know who they are?" In Katie's opinion, doxing the people behind Bored Ape Yacht Club's success was necessary to establish the project's credibility. She believes that using real names should be a basic requirement, just as it's required for publicly traded companies by the Securities and Exchange Commission and smaller firms via Know Your Customer (KYC) laws. Some argue that doxing is a necessary step in tracking crypto scammers. The claim is that some of these founders may have a shady history that may suggest that they are attempting to pull off another scam. For instance, in the recent Oxsifu doxing crackdown, the CFO of the DeFi protocol, Wonderland Money, going by the alias Oxsifu, was revealed on Twitter to be the co-founder of the defunct Quadriga CX exchange, Michael Patron. Now, if you're unfamiliar, this is the same scandal in which Quadriga CX's founder, Gerald Cotton, vanished with $169 million. Forcing the company to close in 2018, kind of like what's been happening with rug pulls. What's more, Michael Patron was convicted of fraud in the United States in 2005 under yet another alias, Omar Danani. Following these revelations, Oxsifu stepped down as Wonderland's CFO, with the DeFi protocol seemingly operating as normal. The nays, however, are coming in with an entirely new angle that, as much as doxing helps build trust in crypto projects, doxing people involuntarily is a cause for concern. especially when there's no risk that would cause you to reveal a person's identity. Crypto podcaster Kobe commented on Katie's Doxxing article, saying, "If your investigation returns nothing and you still dox people anyway, are you really a journalist?" It stems from one of the primary goals of cryptocurrency, which is anonymous transactions. True, false identities are used in cryptocurrency scams. A good example is the Squid Game rug pull and other scams that you can watch here, where the perpetrators remain unknown. There's also the risk of having your identity exposed to the world, especially since there have been reports of people using physical force to coerce cryptocurrency owners into handing over private keys to their wallets. In the meantime, you need to be cautious at all times, because doxing doesn't just happen to crypto founders. When you post statements like, "Sure, just send the DAI to ethismoney.eth," or "I just paid 0.02 ETH in gas fees. Why is gas so expensive?" You're essentially publicizing your entire transaction history to the world. Yes, your public address is pseudonymous. However, once you post it on social media, you're essentially telling the world, "Hey there, that's my wallet address." Or, "Hey, these are the details for my last transaction." And once someone links your identity to your address or a single transaction, they can pretty much trace your transaction history on the publicly accessible ledger that is the blockchain. So here's an idea: don't dox yourself. Practice what's called good address hygiene. Here are a few pointers for practicing good address hygiene to avoid being doxed. First, use multiple addresses. Using just one address makes it easy for someone to trace your total net worth. Instead, split your addresses and diversify your aliases. You could maybe use one address for DeFi and another for buying NFTs. In either case, your funds will be spread across multiple addresses, making it more difficult to connect them all. Next, don't transact directly between your private and public addresses. Always keep your public and private addresses separate. You could use your public address when interacting with a network, but when transferring assets from your private address, practice using a mixer, such as a centralized exchange. That way, when your transaction records are via a mixer exchange platform, the transaction history becomes more dispersed and difficult to trace. Lastly, use Brave, a VPN, and Tor for extra privacy. When you use a Brave browser, it allows you to block cross-site trackers, third-party cookies, and other security holes. You should also always clear cookies and your local storage when switching between your private and public accounts. And lastly, use a VPN or Tor to hide your online activity from potential hackers. While it's difficult to avoid doxing completely, you can take extra precautions to limit your exposure to malicious intent as much as possible. But as cryptocurrencies become more popular, it will be interesting to see how doxing evolves alongside them. Will there be good doxers out there dedicated to revealing the true identities of scammers? Or will regulations compel cryptocurrency projects to implement KYC procedures? Only time will tell. And that wraps it up for what you should know about doxing. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications for future alpha. See ya!